Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'm Ty Glenn. Hopefully you guys are having a great Monday. Got lots of NHL news to discuss, so make sure that you stay tuned in to this episode to the end. But before we go ahead and get started, just a couple of announcements. First things first, thank you guys for 500 plus subscribers on the TG Hockey channel. Thank you for that. Really do appreciate it. I'm going to be putting out content on that channel all off season long, so make sure that you go subscribe to the TG Hockey channel right now. If you are not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. And also, other news, I released the schedule of what the Hockey Talk with TG podcast will look like in the next 1 to 2 weeks, with the NHL draft coming this Friday, June 27, and NHL Free Agency Day coming next Tuesday. So I released the schedule of that just because. So if you haven't seen that schedule yet, which I did post it on all my social media accounts, I also posted it on the Hockey Talk with TG podcast YouTube channel. So if you have not seen that schedule yet, no worries. I'll repeat it to you on this episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. So Monday, June 23rd, which is today, episode will be out. Wednesday, June 25th, will be no episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Friday, June 27th, NHL Draft Day, there'll be an episode out. We'll preview the NHL Draft. And I want to try and do a full 30-minute episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast, just talking about the NHL draft. No other NHL news to discuss in Friday's episode of the Hockey Talk TG podcast, unless it's big time NHL news. Unless it's like big NHL news, then no, I don't want to mention anything else. But the NHL draft in Friday's episode of the Hockey Talk TG podcast, since there will be NHL Draft Day. Monday, June 30th, we'll recap the NHL draft and we'll do a preview episode of the NHL free agency, because Tuesday, July the 1st will be NHL free agency day, and we're going to do a preview episode for Monday. That'll be next Monday. That'll happen. Wednesday, July 2nd, will be an episode out of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. It will be NHL free agency recap episode, so we'll be recapping all the biggest signings that happened on free agency day. We'll share our thoughts. I'll share my thoughts about it, and I'll let you guys explain in the comments then what do you guys think of the big free agency signings that's happened. So that will happen for next Wednesday. Next Friday will be the 4th of July. There will be no episode out of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. 4th of July, Independence Day. Everybody's going to be going to fireworks shows, which if you do, stay safe and always watch your surroundings. Never know what will happen. So if you do go to a fireworks show next Friday for the 4th of July, just pray. Just always pray. Stay safe. Be aware of your surroundings, because it always be people trying to ruin the fun. Enjoy come 4th of July. But that's what the schedule of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast will look like in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Just wanted to let you guys know of that. And make sure that you are subscribed to the TG Hockey channel on YouTube. If you like watching the podcast on YouTube, looking at my analytics, see most of you guys watching my episodes but not subscribed. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, because all off season long we're going to be grinding on the Hockey Talk TG podcast. We're going to be live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11:30 a.m. Central Time. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you like watching the podcast on YouTube. If you're an audio listener like myself, make sure that you are following the Hockey Talk with TG podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Again, we're going to be live at 11:30 a.m. Central Time for every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the Hockey Talk TG podcast. And It's the podcast who you want to be for all the latest hockey news and content. I'm going to try and put out some content on the podcast and on TG Hockey Channel all throughout the season. I'll alternate between the two. So make sure that you're subscribed to the TG Hockey Channel. Make sure that you're subscribed to the Hockey Talk TG Podcast YouTube channel if you like watching the podcast on YouTube. And for all the audio listeners, make sure that you go follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And again, thank you guys for 500 plus subscribers on the TG Hockey Channel. And thank you guys for watching my Florida Panthers 2025 Stanley Cup mini movie on TG Hockey Channel. Really do appreciate it. Nothing but love right here. So thank you guys for that. And here's some more to come throughout this NHL offseason. And we'll be back in the fall. Well, was going to be grinding all NHL offseason with putting out episodes of the Hockey Talk TG podcast, putting out content on the TG Hockey Channel. So, again, just a reminder, make sure you subscribe to the TG Hockey Channel, subscribe to Hockey Talk TG podcast YouTube channel, and for the audio listeners, follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, hit that notification bell. We're going to be live. We're going to be doing this all off season long. This is where you want to be for all the latest NHL news. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started into the NHL news for today. So, when I ended my episode last week, the news dropped that Jonathan Toews is coming back to the NHL, but he will be playing for his hometown Winnipeg Jets. The deal will be finalized on July 1st, which will be next Tuesday. That's free agency day. That's when the deal will officially happen. But we all know what team Toews is going to be playing for, and that is his hometown Winnipeg Jets. This is what Jonathan Toews had to say on his NHL return and playing for the Winnipeg Jets. He said this, and I quote, "I'm grateful to be making my return to the NHL with the Winnipeg Jets. It's very special to come home and play in front of my family and friends in Manitoba. The Jets have been on the rise over the last few seasons, and I'm eager to join the group and help however I can." He also had an Instagram post about it. He had an Instagram post about it, about playing for his hometown Winnipeg Jets. This is his Instagram post right here. If you guys didn't see that on Instagram, that's his Instagram post that he talked about, and I'll read it to you guys in case you didn't see it. This is what he said on his Instagram post, and I quote, "Am I dreaming or is this real life? My earliest hockey memories are of watching the Jets pre-96 at the Winnipeg Arena. I remember being glued to my seat in the upper deck, unable to move an inch because the nosebleeds were savagely steep and high, but also because I was immediately mesmerized by the game of hockey. Never would I thought that someday I'd skate on the ice down below, my dream of reaching the NHL coming full circle to playing in the very city that raised me. I've never been more proud to be from Winnipeg. Thank you to everyone for the love and support, and to the Jets organization for making another childhood dream come true." And as you guys can see my comment on Toews' post, I said welcome back, Cap. My comment is right here, but you'll be able to see it on his post. I just said welcome back, Cap, as a comment. I'm Ty the Hockey Boy. That's my Instagram username. So yeah, he made a post about it as well. And as a Blackhawks fan, I'm really happy to see Jonathan Toews back. I mean, he's missed 2 NHL seasons. He's last played in the 2022-23 season. He's been out for 2 seasons because of the chronic immune response syndrome, also because of COVID and his health. And in the 2022-23 season, he had 31 points in 53 games played. 15 goals, 16 assists, 31 points, 53 games played. And again, he's been out for 2 seasons because of health issues, COVID, and chronic immune syndrome. And he traveled to India for a 5-week quote-unquote healing journey to focus on his health and get ready to come back in the NHL. He also addressed ongoing inflammation and immune issues. So he had all these problems that was happening to him, but now he's making this NHL return. And again, as a Blackhawks fan, I'm really happy to see Toews back in the NHL. The NHL is not the same without him, and I'm hoping that Patrick Kane, because he's gonna hit the free agent market too, and I'm hoping that Patrick Kane can join his Blackhawks teammate and former Blackhawks teammate and friend Jonathan Toews on the Winnipeg Jets, and hopefully the two can go on one last Stanley Cup run. I actually did do an article about this on Blackhawk Up. I will put the link in the description for you guys to read. I think that will be something that all Blackhawks fans would like to see. Kane and Toews on the same team once again, this time on the Winnipeg Jets. So I think that will be something I can't, and I'm hoping that does happen come free agency day, because Patrick Kane is going to be in free agency, and I really don't like seeing him on the Detroit Red Wings, mostly because of the Blackhawks and Red Wings rivalry. So I really don't like seeing him on Detroit. I do, on the bright side, he's playing with former Blackhawks player Alistair Brinkett. That part I do like seeing, but overall, I just hate seeing Kaner in the Red Wings jersey. Like, that does not look right to me. But take a look at the resume from Jonathan Toews. He is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion with the Hawks, led us to 3 Stanley Cups in the span of 6 years, 2009, 2015. And he won those Stanley Cups 2010, 2013, and 2015. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy in 2010 for playoff MVP. He also won the Frank J. Selke Trophy in 2013, and he won the Mark Messier NHL Leadership Award in 2015. International stage-wise, he is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. He won gold medals for Team Canada in 2010 and 2014. He was named one of the NHL's top 100 players in 2017. And this could provide some veteran boost for the Winnipeg Jets. It can also provide some playoff experience pedigree, championship level pedigree, because the Jets have not won a Stanley Cup in their franchise history, not even when they were the original Winnipeg Jets. Before they moved to Arizona, the original Winnipeg Jets did not win a Stanley Cup. And now the current Jets have not won a Stanley Cup. And I'm hoping that will be something that Jonathan Toews could bring, at least as a Blackhawks fan. Again, would love to see Jonathan Toews raise the Stanley Cup one last time and get his buddy Patrick Kane over there to the Winnipeg Jets as well. The big question is, what can Jonathan Toews bring at age 37? I think this is a question that some people should ask themselves, because even though I'm happy to see Jonathan Toews back in the NHL, he's dealt with health issues all this time. We don't know that's going to play a factor. Hopefully it's cleared up now, because otherwise he unfortunately wouldn't be able to come back in the NHL if it wasn't cleared up. But you got to remember, like, he's age 37, he's almost in his 40s, so you got to know what can he bring at age 37. And I'm not saying this to doubt him, obviously, because I am a Blackhawks fan. As you guys should know by now, if you've been listening to this podcast a long time. If you've been listening to this podcast for a long time, I've said on here numerous times that I'm a Blackhawks fan. So I'm not asking that question just to doubt him, but I think it's a question that, some people, if not all people, will have on their minds. So that's why I just said that. Overall thoughts on this, again, I'm excited to see Jonathan Toews back, and I can't wait to see him make his return to the United Center, because it's going to be one epic one. It's going to be a emotional return to the United Center, to Chicago. And just like it was for me, just like it was for Blackhawks fans like myself with Patrick Kane, when he came back to the United States, it was it was a great game, though. It was also an emotional game. And I'm pretty sure that Jonathan Toews return to the United States will be emotional too. But can't wait to see him back in Chicago, even though that it's in a different jersey. We all miss Toews here in Chicago. And best of luck on his hometown Winnipeg Jets. And again, can't wait to see him back at the United Center on his return. The NHL schedule will be released on July 26th, I believe. So hopefully by then we should get the Blackhawks full 2025-26 schedule, at least for Blackhawks fans like myself, so we can all see when will it be the day that Jonathan Toews returns to the United Center. And hopefully I get to go to the game. If I can't make it to the game, I obviously watch it on TV on Chicago Sports Network. But I'm still going to be feeling emotional either way once Taser hits the ice in Chicago with the Winnipeg Jets. Now we're going to be shifting gears to the Hockey Hall of Fame's announcement. So on June 24th, 2025 in Toronto, there will be the 2025 Hockey Hall of Fame announcement, which players will be in the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2025. I actually did do a video of this out on the TG Hockey channel a little while back in November of 2024. So I'm going to try to make it short and concise for this part, because again, I did do a full video of this on the TG Hockey channel on November of 2024. And the players that I'll just name my top 4 or 5 players that I think should deserve to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame for this year. Induction weekend will be set for November 8th through 10th, and the actual induction celebration is on Monday, November 10th. The announcement will be on Tuesday, tomorrow, in Toronto, and the announcement will be live at 2 o'clock p.m. Central Time on TSN4, and for USA users or residents, USA residents, it will be on NHL Network. But here are my top 4 or 5 people that I could see getting into the Hockey Hall of Fame. So number 1, I'm going to have to go with Big Z, Zdeno Chara. He played 24 seasons in the NHL, and in those 24 seasons, he has 680 points in 1,680 games, 209 goals, 471 assists for 680 points in 1,680 games played with the Islanders, Bruins, Senators, and Capitals. His games played is most by a defenseman in NHL history, surpassing the great Chris Chelios with 1,652 games. And Zdeno Chara, he was always known for his physical presence and one of the hardest shots in NHL. He was also known to be a towering player out on the ice, 6'9", and I believe 250 plus pounds of Big Z, Zdeno Chara. He led the Bruins to a Stanley Cup in 2011. He was team captain of the Bruins from 2006 to 2020, and the first Slovak-born captain to win a Stanley Cup. My next player that should be in the 2025 Hockey Hall of Fame, no one. Oh man, I can't even get my words right. I'm sorry, guys. No other than Duncan Keith. So Duncan Keith, he has 646 points in 1,256 games played, 106 goals, 540 assists for 646 points in 1,256 games played. He played 17 seasons in the NHL, 16 with my hometown Chicago Blackhawks, and 1 season with the Edmonton Oilers. He is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion with the Chicago Blackhawks. Won the Stanley Cup in 2010, 2013, and 2015. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy in 2015 for playoff MVP. And he had 21 points in 23 games played, 3 goals, 18 assists for 21 points in 23 games played. His playoff MVP year, he was always known for his endurance and toughness. He is a 2-time Norris Trophy winner. He won the Norris Trophy in 2010 and 2014. He is a 2-time gold medal champion with Team Canada, 1 gold medal with Team Canada Olympics in 2010 and 2014. He is a 4-time NHL All-Star. He went to the All-Star game in 2008, 2011, 2015, and 2017, and he was one of the top 100 greatest NHL players in 2017, where the NHL was celebrating its 100 years in the league, like 100 years of the National Hockey League from 1917 to 2017, and Duncan Keith was voted among the top 100 greatest NHL players in 2017. Number 3, I'm going to have to go with Jumbo Joe Thornton. So Joe Thornton was always known for his playmaking skills. He had 1,539 points in 1,714 games played, 430 goals, 1,109 assists for 1,539 points in 1,714 games played, 25 seasons in the NHL for Jumbo Joe, 15 seasons with the Sharks, 8 seasons with the Bruins. He was actually drafted by the Bruins, by the way, first overall in the 1997 NHL draft. Correct me if I'm wrong. 1 season with the Toronto Maple Leafs and 1 season with the back-to-back Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. I wish I could have seen Joe Thornton win the Stanley Cup. Just give him at least 1 Stanley Cup before he retires. But hey, there are great NHL players who played in the NHL who didn't win the Stanley Cup, and some of those names are Henrik Lundqvist, PK Subban, what other ones? Patrick Marleau, and a Pecorine, and a bunch of other players that played in the NHL, great NHL players, but they did not win a Stanley Cup. And I wish I could have seen Joe Thornton win the Stanley Cup before he retires. Joe Pavelski, he played in the NHL. He's retired. He didn't win the Stanley Cup, but he was a great NHL player nonetheless. So, again, a lot of great NHL players played in the NHL and did not win the Stanley Cup. So, Joe Thornton is one of the top players on that list. But anyways, Joe Thornton have won the Art Ross and Hart Memorial Trophy in 2006. 125 points in 81 games played that year. 29 goals, 96 assists for 125 points in 81 games played. And he played for the Bruins and Sharks at the time. He led the NHL in assists throughout multiple times throughout his career. And Joe Thornton has certainly had a lot of success playing with the San Jose Sharks. Again, 15 seasons with the Sharks. And he helped them reach the Stanley Cup Final in 2016. And, of course, that was a loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins in 6 games. But in those 15 seasons with the Sharks, Jumbo Joe had 1,055 points in 1,104 games played, 251 goals, 804 assists for 1,055 points and 1,104 games played. 6-time NHL All-Star. He went to the NHL All-Star game in 2002, 2003, 2004, 2007, 2008, and 2009. And up next on the list, last but not least, Carey Price played his entire 15-year career with the Montreal Canadiens, and he had a .361, .261, and .79 record with a 2.51 goals against average and a .917 save percentage and 49 shutouts. And Carey Price, 361 wins with Montreal, is first all-time in goalies in team history, which puts him in elite company with Patrick Roy, who won 289 games, Jacques Plante with 314 wins, Ken Dryden with 258 wins, and Georges Vezina with 103 wins. He's regarded as one of the top goalies of his generation, and he won and the 2014-15 season was a memorial season. Well, a great memorial season, great, terrific season for Carey Price, because he won the Hart Memorial Trophy, the Ted Lindsay Award, the Vezina Trophy, and the William N. Jennings Trophy in the 2014-15 season. And he had a 44-16-6 record with a 1.96 goals against average and a .933 save percentage, 9 shutouts in the 2014-15 season. He won the Bill Masterton Trophy in 2022. He helped the Canadiens reach the Stanley Cup Final in 2021, which was a loss to the Lightning in 5 games. He won the gold medal with Team Canada at the 2014 Sochi Olympics. He also won at the 2016 World Cup of Hockey event and the 2007 World Junior Championships. He is a 6-time NHL All-Star. He went to the All-Star game in 2009, 2011, 2012, 2015, 2017, and 2018. Of course, other honorable mentions that should be in the Hockey Hall of Fame this year: Patrick Marleau, Ryan Getzlaf, Dustin Brown, Pekka Rinne, Patrick Elias, PK Subban, Corey Crawford, Tuukka Rask, Rod Brind'Amour, and Jason Spezza. So other honorable mentions to add to that list of who should be in the Hockey Hall of Fame this year. But now we're going to go to a couple of Chicago Blackhawks news for this next two segments. And the Blackhawks made some moves this past weekend. They traded Joe Veleno to the Seattle Kraken for André Burakovsky on Saturday. And André Burakovsky's under contract for 2 more years with a $5.5 million AAV deal, which was from a 5-year, $27.5 million deal he signed in July of 2022. And with the Kraken this season, he had 37 points in 79 games played, 10 goals, 27 assists for 37 points in 79 games played with the Kraken this season, finishing 4th in team assists and tied for 8th in overall points. And André Burakovsky, he certainly brings a lot of playoff experience with the Blackhawks, having won 2 Stanley Cups in his NHL career. He won one with the Capitals in 2018, and he won another one with the Colorado Avalanche in 2022. He had 47 points in 93 Stanley Cup playoff games in his career, 20 goals, 27 assists for 47 points in 93 Stanley Cup playoff games. And overall in his career, he had 387 points in 696 games played with the Capitals, Avalanche, and Kraken, 153 goals, 234 assists for 387 points in 696 games played with the Capitals, Avalanche, and Kraken. Joe Veleno, he has 17 points in 74 games played with the Blackhawks and Red Wings this past season. 8 goals, 9 assists for 17 points in 74 games played with the Blackhawks and Red Wings. He was traded to the Blackhawks on March 7th, and he has 7 points in 18 games played with the Blackhawks. 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points in 18 games played. And overall, his NHL career, he had 81 points in 306 NHL games with the Red Wings and Blackhawks. 38 goals, 43 assists for 81 points in 306 NHL games with the Red Wings and Blackhawks. He has 1 year remaining on his 2-year, $4.55 million contract he signed with Detroit on July 19th, 2024. And Kraken General Manager Jason Brodie noted that the deal, quote-unquote, increases our salary cap flexibility and brings in a younger player in Joe Veleno while moving on from André Burakovsky. Overall thoughts on this trade? I feel like the Blackhawks won this trade because, again, they're bringing in some playoff experience in André Burakovsky. André Burakovsky certainly the better player overall than Joe Veleno, so I think this was a W move from General Manager Kyle Davidson, and I'm certainly happy about this move as a Blackhawks fan. But what I'm more happy about with the Blackhawks is they bought out TJ Brodie's contract. So the André Burakovsky trade wasn't the only move that the Blackhawks made this past weekend. They also brought out TJ Brodie's contract. And as a Blackhawks fan, man, oh man, am I happy about that, because I'm telling you guys, if you've been watching Chicago Blackhawks hockey, you would know that TJ Brodie sucked. He sucked when he was on the Blackhawks. He wasn't doing so good when he was on the Blackhawks. He was playing awful, and man, oh man, are Chicago Blackhawks fans like myself happy that TJ Brodie is not playing with the Blackhawks anymore. He won't be back for the Blackhawks next season, and I'm so happy about that as a Blackhawks fan, and so are other Blackhawks fans that are happy about this. Because, again, he was just an awful player on the Blackhawks. Besides Seth Jones, TJ Brodie was an awful player on the Blackhawks. And, again, didn't fit into the Blackhawks system. And this buyout, I think, kind of saves up some cap space as well. So that's even good news if you're a Blackhawks fan like myself. But taking a look at TJ Brodie's performance. In 54 games played with the Blackhawks this season, he had 2 goals and 8 assists for 10 points, and he averaged about 15.5 minutes of ice time per game. He was a liability at 5-on-5 play, with the Hawks being outscored 42-23 during his shifts. So that just comes to show that he was just not having his best performance in Chicago. And we kind of knew, because I think he was absent for the final 15-20 games of the regular season for the Blackhawks. So we kind of knew his Blackhawks days was coming to an end. And again, I'm just so happy about that. Absolute W from Kyle Davidson. I believe this is going to be the summer of Kyle, if you will. Kyle Davidson is going to go all out in free agency for the Blackhawks. And man, oh man, am I going to be so happy about it, because we have a great young roster that I'm excited to watch for next season. And Frank Nazar, he's going to have that breakout season. Just you wait. Frank Nazar will have his breakout season for the Chicago Blackhawks next season. But anyways, that's going to do it for this episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. Really do appreciate it. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe if you're watching the podcast on YouTube. If you're listening on audio platform, make sure to follow the Hockey Talk with TG podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. We are with you guys every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11:30 a.m. to noon Central Time, 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So you want to make sure that you are following this podcast so you can stay up to date on the latest hockey news. We're going to be grinding on here all season. I mean, not all. Well, yes, all season for next season, of course. But we're going to be grinding on here all off season long. And this is the podcast where you want to be at. And again, thank you guys for 500 plus subscribers on the TG Hockey channel. I'm going to be putting out content on there too. So make sure that you're subscribed to that channel as well. Both of you guys have a great rest of your day. God first, as always. Be blessed. I'll see you guys Friday for another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Take care.